Welcome back from the commercial break. The POLICON is a program you can never miss on Thursday. This evening, we are still together and we are in a conclusion in this last session with Honorable Abdullah Diakatonda. Abdul, thank you for the correction. Abdul Diakatonda. And is the Workers MP. I do also aspire for workers' interest. And if I will be lucky or indeed privileged by you members of parliament to give me Tikamanga the 9 MPs, I can represent, Uganda and also advocate for the interests of workers.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I am happy to associate you tonight. We continue with our discussion looking at the rationalization of government agencies. And we look at also their commissions, their authorities and public, all this which is to harmonize and rationalize the public expenditure. You had noted as we come to the close of this program, at least around 4 or 5 areas, which I would like you to, for the purpose of benefiting our viewers, to see the inputs proposed for maybe if someone of the same thoughts like you or is able to buy into your school of thought, we can expand and maybe change, have what you are calling mindset change. This is part of the search program, and say we think those what they are saying is right. This talk show can influence, at the end of the day, the debate will go in parliament, maybe you look things different and we change. To have the independency of institutions is still a question of debate. I will mention that as number one, and which needs your response humbly to share with us, generously as usual, and of which the independence of these institutions, the executive, the parliament check the executive. In this process where the executive proposes this and the parliament seems not to be satisfied, it does research and then tells the executive, please go and handle this. That seems to be lacking. When the executive gets a position, they go to, because this is POLICON's politics, they go to a caucus, which is not bad in a multi-party dispensation, but which caucus is not supposed to rule over the kind of capacity and the mandate which the parliament is supposed to be having. But where it becomes a dilemma that I pray while you are a member of parliament or others who will get the opportunity to be, we are supposed not to be influencing, to see too much influence of the executive, but where the dilemma is based on our law needs amendment towards the constitution. The member of parliament, and this is not coming from me, it was proposed, I say it again, in the National Development Plan 2. The member of parliament to double as a minister and bring the same policy to be checked in parliament and is the same MP. It looks to be a paradox, and anyone who came from any developed countries which have practiced democracies will say, are these people jokers? How can you present a policy and you are again the person to check it? You are a member of parliament, and at the same time, you are a minister. It leaves unresolved questions, sir. Number 2, the creation of these districts, because the rationalization is to deal with also the public expenditure, seems to be bringing in more expenses as we talk about having more LC5 chairpersons, having more RDCs, at the expense of an intention by the government, which is a good one, for investment and industrialization, of which industries and investment in whether social service sector, whether sports education, whether agriculture, would lead to production. Which production, the best of my understanding and your understanding, sir, could lead to export. Which export in the process back here home, we could have jobs. This is not me who have this knowledge alone. It is a public shared knowledge. But yet to realize this, it is difficult. Is our question number 3, sir. Before I go to the last one, the fourth one, which I would like to address as you are intending to give us, a package tonight. The salaries. One Ugandan studied the same school with the other, under the chance to join this commission, is being paid 80 million, 30 million, 40 million. Most of these these government agencies, they do give, touch into our treasurer deeply. And you wonder whether it's deliberate and the creation of some of those who favor them to establish maybe a garden for them to earn better than others. And it causes serious strife among the population. I would like to let you respond to those ones if you are, categorize them the same way and we move forward.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think starting with the first one, where somebody is a member of parliament and at the same time a minister. I think this has a personality traits. For example, if I don't tell you where I belong, I'm a workers MP, but you find me in Cavalry, you find me everywhere. I normally go everywhere. I think people need to be patriots, and people need really to invent and think outside the box. When you do that, I think people, we are in offices because we want to serve mankind, and God has given us an opportunity to serve. So what is important is let's live beyond our communities, let's live beyond our ethnicity, and then you can actually be able to serve. I think that's why the NRM has actually been flexible. You find that when you say this man, why is this man coming really to sit with the president? The man is actually appointed. Is that? I think that's flexibility. I think we need to copy and benchmark certain good practices that can help people move. The issue may not be, because
checks and balances, the oversight role of parliament. You are a member of parliament, like how you are a member of parliament,
yes,
and let's say Minister of Labor. And at the same time now, like a Minister of Labor, like how you can suitably serve into that. And at the same time, you are a workers MP. You are the one to propose the policy, and you are the one again to check the policy whether it is wrong or right. Don't you think really it is
that would be a bit confusing? Because even when somebody is a member of parliament, is a minister, not a member of parliament, I think these are keys. Because now I think let's benchmark from the ex-officials who are ministers. How are they performing? I think this is the key thing. And then we can look at other considerations. I think what is important is to have a national outlook. For example, you realize that I think you can see the example of the Kenyan election. These people have been able to understand one another because of the national language, because they understand each other. But I think these tribal sentiments, this ethnic thinking, I think is one of the biggest constraints.
Honorable, you said that we need to benchmark, and you brought the issue of Kenya. As I do share with you, moderating, and to the viewers, some of the democracies of our modern era, where we refer to America, we refer also to those young ones upcoming, like Rwanda, which is a neighborhood in the East African region. You also refer to Kenya, which you've mentioned, and you also refer to Britain. You cannot have a cabinet minister and a state minister. There are those who are the permanent secretaries here. They serve a role of a deputy minister, of which here in Uganda, they double as a minister and a state minister, and then a permanent secretary. And in the process, which has made the size of government to be huge. That's where I'm coming from. And also, to what you've stated, in the principle of doctrine of separation of powers, that's what I wanted to derive it.
Yes.
We will never be ranked best if we were ranked in terms of good governance, where the powers of the minister, that's the executive, are shared at the same time, the powers of a member of parliament in one docket. It completely defeats the principles of good governance. Do you recommend Uganda to remain that path?
No, I think what I want to say, we need to rebrand. Of course, in terms of relevance and performance, if cabinet has gone and they have had their meetings, and the parliament is having their meetings, the judiciary is handling their role, then where would be the problem?
The problem is the same time when a member of parliament is there at State House, is a minister, and the parliament is sitting. These days, that's why you are seeing some part of the challenge. You find it is also attributed to that. The attendance, you are in the cabinet, and at the same time you are supposed to be in the parliament.
I'm in the parliament. I have not seen any minister interfering with an MP. I think it's just a matter of, taking on the mantle and ensuring that at least we raise the bar and perform. You see, most of these things we intend to scapegoat.
Can we come back to that another time? Maybe
scapegoating,
yes,
then you say, I think I would have done, but this Joseph here has failed me to perform. For me, from what I know my role, oversight, and of course I go an extra mile. You see, when we are doing a performance evaluation, when you say, if your role is to broadcast, if your role is to present, and you have done only those, then I think what we should give you is 50%. But we want to see that extra thing that you have actually done, that enables you to exceed the requirement. I think these are the key things that we need. But when we take a lot of time doing that, then we shall never perform. I think people should take on the mantle, people should actually move, and show that at least you fly like an eagle. You at least put, because it is not just a matter of business as usual. You try there to position yourself to think as if you are pretending. Go for it and exploit all your energies, exploit all your potential. Then at least people will say, this person I think is doing this. This minister, this MP, this LOC5, this cow.
Yes, sir.
But we cannot actually look at a scenario where people are just sitting in offices. Now, for example, I'm on Park local government, but you go to a district, you find people traveling to offices on Wednesday. Saturday evening, they are going back. And you wonder, what is this? Somebody will tell you, I'm a pensioner. I've taken almost 80 years, but I'm looking for a human resource. What is that? I think people need to be patriotic. Less people have actually.
There is something I would like.
And then the other one of the districts. I think
before we go to that, I want to give a commentary to the viewers, which they need to know as we search information. When you are going to have this cabinet, it is not necessarily a rumor, but it is a practice. There are some of the MPs who were on the way being compromised to take a certain pass of decision, and they could be whispered to, please do this, you are on the list of ministers. And some of the compromise ended up taking some to say, so I don't vote for this side. And one comes back to the checks and balances. If one was voted, say, propose I'm not the end in this, and I'm not against any minister to do as an MP, but we are discussing policy matters, legal framework issues. If someone was a minister, in this case we have Minister Honorable, this is Wilson, right? Muruli Mukasa, and is only doing his ministerial work, and which will hand over the policy statement for debate either before Parliament and so forth. We believe that the Parliament will come with objective lenses, and himself.
But Joseph, what I want to tell you, I think it's one writer, Shakespeare. He said one person was crying for a shoe. But then another one said, I wish they knew how the other one didn't have a leg. For me, I don't see any reason why. What is it that you can do as a minister, which you cannot do as an MP? We are all looking at service delivery. So it's not actually, shouldn't be a preoccupation of somebody really to fight and become, it's a do or die, want to become no. You work where you are, and then actually you will be rewarded. I think this is what's important. Me, since I left my career in 2005, I've been in offices.
Yes, sir.
But nobody has ever told me he has looked for me for 2 days. In all the offices I've worked, I make sure I try to do the best to the satisfaction of the clients.
Even the way I was inviting you, really, you said, this time I'm
there is an office. There was an office I attended to, I think, in the recent past years. I could see that at least I have a lot of, because you must lead a balanced life. But I could say that I think let me move an extra mile and ensure that all the targets are done. When I did that, I think colleagues were even complaining, we have our boss who wants even sleep in office. I think, why don't you put in? And that's what the president has been telling people. He tells people, you are going for leave, but me, I don't go for leave. And I've never heard of it.
Even in Christmas, is the holidays, is the work.
But I think how many people can actually put in a lot of effort.
You can give us other areas
and cause change. I think this is what's important. Because for me, if nobody will come and tell me, I think I hear some people will even be conned because they want to become. Why? Where I am, I feel I can actually perform. And doing that, and of course, let's think outside the box. Because, like Parliament, oversight, legislation, but what are the other things?
But what I've said, I believe you subscribe to that school. So there are people who are mean, who are limited to discuss openly the way you do, because they are saying that they may miss at certain
times. To catch the eye of the...
Is it true? Am I sharing the same thought with you?
Of course, but that shouldn't be a preoccupation.
Yes,
because
yes,
that kind of thinking results into a lot of things.
Yes, sir.
Wishful thinking. People will even start saying, I think even somebody will say, man, you're going to become, but I think this Joseph here has worked against you. Then you start even carrying grudge. I think that's not important.
You can give us position on the other last three.
That one, I think the districts are not bad, but people should do things differently.
Should create more and more and more.
Of course, where they have been,
an implication?
Where they have been, I think the key thing is administrative costs. But what is that we can do that can actually add value to the relevance of the institutions or the entities that are being created? For example, the districts. I think that's what's important. Do the people have what it takes to help and really ensure that at least they change society, the impact on society? Of course, now, like we said, what's that the district can do? But you find you even go to the districts and ask how many people are doing this activity. They even don't know. What can we help them? How many people can be helped in this area? They even don't know. So I think it's not business as usual. Let people learn to work out, think outside the box and ensure that at least we cause impact. Because this, we would be happy when we see that a district, instead of actually receiving a little, they're even adding money to the consolidated fund. They're even doing a lot of activity. They're even now sensitizing. They're even doing this. I think this is what's important. When we do that, I think we'll see that one, we enhance on the household incomes. We even increase on the foreign exchange earning. Then I think, you see, the challenge is there. You find that people don't know what to do. People are even trying agriculture in the old way they are doing.
I have a question for you.
The value addition,
yes, sir.
That kind of stuff.
Yes, sir. To turn a district, and divide it into two constituencies, and to maintain a district, you add in a machine for cancer, then you also get the other money for the 5 years, because we are doing the financial and economic feasibility. The machine for cancer and for medical, improving the medical service, and you get an area where there is production in terms of whether to improve, buy more seeds and they plant more coffee, or have a coffee processing industry. To you, when you are devising now the policy making process, what would have been the best?
I think the best is for people to be empowered and innovate. Have you ever been to areas where they make maize seed? What is the difficulty for a district really to ensure that they can make maize seeds for their farmers? Now you find that I think we have stagnated because the farmers will wait for government now to supply seeds. Then you wonder. And at times a farmer has actually plowed 5 acres, but maybe has been given 2 kilos. So how can we get out of the food crisis that we have?
There are two pieces of one is the bread and another is the cake.
Yes.
Should we see, let's say, a district of Yenda dividing into two constituencies to the expense of a cancer machine needed in the hospital of that district, and maybe a factory for maize to enable good first-class maize flour? Should we go to divide the money? Because you were talking about a Chibalo. I'm drawing from your point. In our Chibalo, if we were to advise the president, should we go for dividing Uyenda into two constituencies, or we buy the machine for cancer and also money to establish maybe a very standard maize miller that can process good maize, products?
I think, like you put it, we need a cost-benefit analysis. You see, in some places, numbers are a blessing. But what is that the numbers can do without actually having other numbers? I think what is important is now to ensure that at least one, I think our policy this time around the 11th Parliament, we are saying we should take back the Parliament near to the people. So what are those inputs that we require? What are those policies that we require that can actually add value? I think when we do that, then it can be a blessing. And so I think that's very important. But the key challenge is when we amend and we don't actually perform. We don't actually add value. We don't, even our presence is not realized. I think that would be a challenge. But if we looked at a number of, like think outside the box, what are those opportunities that our people want to see? What are those ideas? Who are the people available? I think I've seen a number of MPs who are even going an extra mile For example, you have seen now they've even provided like ambulances. That's a service. But of course, we are saying we should actually ensure that at least...
That's most of the nation. MPs are not supposed to be buying ambulances.
They are not supposed to, but why don't you do it?
And they are not supposed to be the ones who are the chief guests for fundraising. They are also supposed to attend church service
but it is doing,
and make a contribution.
It is doing miracles.
And do community contribution.
It is doing miracles. Let them do it. Personally, I've liked it. I've moved all over the country. I've gone to all the fundraisings.
Wow, all over the country.
I think if I've missed like 5. But of course, when we go there, we really talk about key issues.
Yes, yes.
Let's show the people opportunities. Let's tell the people, I think, you see, people in the country, I think the biggest challenge is that we have not even had an opportunity to visit even our various attractions. We even don't know where it is. But I think when people come, you tell me, oh, I'm from this one, we are doing like
Honorable, let's go back to our final discussion on the issue of why the government indeed continued to suggest, but the good thing, you are in agreement that we need to rethink and be able to rationalize logically, strategically, and objectively. Am I right to say so?
I think so.
Thank you, sir. Looking at that, it is still not yet over until it's over. The salary disparities between agency employees and traditional civil servants is really quite alarming, and the wastage, leading the wastage of resources. 87 million, I will begin with these agencies, which may not be merged. You have the Uganda airline. The chief executive officer is to earns rather, not to earn. The first one was earning over 18 million on a contractual basis. The current one is earning 87 million. You go to the KCCA, you go to the Uganda Roads Authority, 40 million, 30 million. And these are people who are delivering the same services that the traditional civil servants are also offering. Don't you think there is a need of a legal framework to end this paradox and controversy?
But it's not just a need, but I think the key challenge are implementation gaps. Because under the public service negotiating machinery, they are supposed to have consultative committees, especially in districts. Then under ILO convention, I think 154, we are supposed to have collective bargaining agreements. So if we did all this within the framework that is available, because we find that under section, under Article 43, even the Constitution talks of collective bargaining. So if we bargain, then we can be able to bring. If we form the consultative committees, then people can be able to discuss. The
chief administrative officer earns around 2.5. It's a junior officer under some of these agencies, I'm not mentioning specifically. They are in 11 million, they are in 15 million. Should it remain like this? Does it even call for a negotiation? Or there is a need for an act that must harmonize salary harmonization and a standard is set? Because this is one of the reasons the minister was given.
The act is available. If we give people an opportunity to discuss, from the consultative committee of the district, for example, they will discuss and see, give a proper justification. Take it to the National Negotiating and the Consultative Council and the Ministry of Public Service. Which consultative negotiating committee has supposed to have PS Finance, PS Local Government, PS Gender, PS Justice and Constitutional Affairs, then the head and secretary to Cabinet. Then, of course, now the committee and then the labor unions. If government had given privilege and the opportunity, they can discuss all these things and even discuss issues of policy pertaining to workers. The problem we have is that, one, we don't exhaust the laws in terms of implementation that we have.
So all agencies, the traditional civil servants, they should now, you are saying they explore through the public negotiation
for public civil workers,
and then they present their request. Then the ministry takes it over.
Then we can look at possibilities. Of course, the challenge is that they tell you, don't operationalize because we don't have money. No, when you negotiate, you're opening up communication channels. You're saying, please look here. It is like a household. We cannot afford bread and butter. Maybe we shall eat cassava. And then, of course, people will understand. But the problem is that we tend to handle, we handle each other with suspicion. There is no leverage, there is no room for dialogue. I think those are the key challenges. If we did that, then everything can be possible. Because I want to say that in terms of adequacy, we have a number of legal frameworks. Because why are you telling me? Because even if you bring the Salary Review Commission, and we are saying there is no money, there will be no money.
Yes.
Unless you are saying the commission will come with money.
Yes.
So now we can say now what modalities do we have to look for money and ensure that at least we handle. But of course, the key challenge is that we don't exhaust negotiation. At times, communication channels are closed. You see, I've been into these things, and one time I think in the recent past, we said, please, we have knowledge of this thing. Why can't we handle it like this? Then people were, intrigue was coming in, people were speculating, gossip, rumors. And
I would like to have your last word on this.
Yes.
The rationalization remains a challenge, especially the lean government, the lean agencies, which you are not objecting but proposing the right way. It was stated that we have the number. I'm still dealing with the issue of number, how much we spend and creating, these small offices, and they are saying we are creating employment. Kenya employs in the security 20,000. I got good information yesterday. 20,000 in the security of Kenya, the what we call the Kenya Defense Forces. For us, we're in 100,000. The police, the same, and elsewhere, as we've talked about the districts. What is your last take, and as you recommend, even as we sum it up together, how can we have a lean government, an efficient government, an effective government? Your last word just in 2 minutes.
I think that one we need to study on a case by case. I think the situation, the challenges we had were different from that the Kenyans had. But of course, in the recent past, we need to open up communication channels and ensure that we get expertise, we do analysis. Then we can see what is best for us as Ugandans, and then at the end of the day, we can move in a strategic direction.
Okay.
Everything is possible. Because when you tell people you can do this, somebody will say it's not possible, but I think it is possible. It is just a matter of opening up communication channels and thinking and eyeing for the best. At the end of the day, we shall get there.
You can have your last word to the viewers.
I thank the viewers. I thank Smart TV management for offering me an opportunity to discuss such critical issues. And I think let us actually embrace proper methods of doing things and do analysis, do research, equivalent, like the president normally says, so that we do things in the best way. I thank you so much for hosting me.
Thank you. Thank you also to have honored our invitation, Honorable Dr. Biakatonda, for all that you've shared with us, and to the viewers. We take note of this for basis of being able to use the information that is to teach us and also adopt what seems to address some gaps in the policy-making process, and with a way to aspire to drive our country economy to a better economy. And with this discussion, we also aimed at ensuring that when some of these recommendations are considered, we can, efficiently and effectively allocate resources where they matter most. Thank you to have stayed with us on Smart 24 TV Driving Business, and we continue to aspire for the best. God bless you. Good night.